What makes a man truly dangerous? Is it physical strength? Money? Status? Power? Most people would say yes. But history tells a different story. The men who changed the world were rarely the loudest. They weren't always the strongest. They weren't always the richest. They simply mastered something that most people never do. Discipline. Because discipline turns ordinary people into extraordinary ones. It transforms weakness into resilience, chaos into focus, potential into results. And once a man learns to control himself, he becomes incredibly difficult to stop. Not because he is aggressive, but because he is no longer controlled by comfort, distraction, or emotion. That is the kind of man people underestimate, until it is too late. Most men are controlled by their impulses. The average man believes he makes his own decisions. But look closer. He wakes up and checks his phone before his own thoughts. He eats because he craves comfort. He procrastinates because discomfort feels unpleasant. He spends money to impress people he doesn't even like. He scrolls for hours instead of building his future. Every day, thousands of tiny impulses quietly take control. And the dangerous part is that they feel like choices. But they aren't. They are habits running on autopilot. The man who cannot control his impulses becomes easy to predict, easy to distract, easy to manipulate, because if comfort controls your decisions, then comfort controls your life. Discipline begins the moment a man stops obeying every impulse that enters his mind. Discipline creates freedom, not restriction. Many people see discipline as punishment, a life without pleasure, without spontaneity, without freedom. But the opposite is true. Undisciplined people become slaves to their emotions. Their moods determine their actions. Their motivation determines their consistency. Their excuses determine their future. Disciplined men reverse that equation. They act whether they feel motivated or not. They keep promises to themselves. They continue moving even when progress feels invisible. Over time, this creates something extraordinary. Freedom. Freedom from procrastination. Freedom from emotional instability. Freedom from constantly starting over. Because the person who controls himself no longer depends on temporary feelings. Discipline makes you hard to manipulate. Manipulation works best on emotionally reactive people. People who chase pleasure, fear discomfort, need approval, avoid uncertainty. But disciplined men slowly remove those weaknesses. They learn to delay gratification, to tolerate boredom, to embrace discomfort, to stay calm under pressure. And every weakness they eliminate removes another point of control. Think about it. How do you manipulate someone who doesn't desperately need attention? How do you manipulate someone who isn't ruled by anger? How do you manipulate someone who refuses to act impulsively? It becomes extremely difficult. Because discipline doesn't just strengthen the body. It strengthens decision-making. And clear decisions are difficult to influence. The world rewards consistency, not intensity. Almost anyone can work hard for one day, 1 week, even 1 month. But very few people remain consistent for years. That is where discipline separates itself from motivation. Motivation is emotional. It rises and falls. Discipline is behavioral. It shows up regardless of emotion. This is why disciplined men often appear ordinary in the beginning. They don't rely on dramatic bursts of effort. They rely on repetition, daily habits, small improvements, quiet consistency. And while everyone else is waiting to feel ready, they are already building momentum. Months later, the difference becomes impossible to ignore. Not because they were more talented, but because they refused to stop. Discipline changes how people see you. People notice consistency. They notice reliability. They notice self-control. A disciplined man rarely needs to tell people he is disciplined. His behavior speaks first. He arrives when he says he will. He finishes what he starts. He remains calm under pressure. He keeps his word even when nobody is watching. These qualities quietly build trust. And trust creates respect. Over time, people begin treating disciplined men differently. Not because they demand respect, but because their actions make them dependable. In a world full of broken promises, consistency becomes a rare form of influence. Discipline builds quiet confidence. Real confidence doesn't come from compliments, or social media, or temporary success. It comes from evidence. Evidence that you can trust yourself. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your confidence grows. Every difficult workout completed. Every distraction resisted. Every uncomfortable conversation faced. Every goal pursued despite fear. You begin proving something to yourself. I do what I say I will do. That sentence creates a confidence no one can give you, and no one can take away, because it wasn't built through praise. It was built through repeated action. That is why disciplined men often appear calm. Their confidence is rooted in experience, not opinion. A disciplined man becomes a force of nature. The most dangerous man is not the angriest man, or the loudest, or the most intimidating. The most dangerous man is the one who cannot be distracted from his purpose. The one who wakes up and does the work whether he feels inspired or exhausted. The one who remains focused while others chase entertainment. The one who keeps improving while others keep making excuses. Year after year, those decisions compound. The disciplined man becomes stronger, smarter, healthier, more financially stable, more emotionally resilient. Meanwhile, those ruled by impulse remain trapped in the same patterns. That is why discipline feels almost unfair. Its rewards arrive slowly, but once they arrive, they are incredibly difficult to match. Men who master discipline become dangerous, not because they seek conflict, not because they dominate other people, but because they first learn to dominate themselves. They stop negotiating with excuses. They stop waiting for motivation. They stop allowing emotions to dictate every decision. Instead, they build habits that continue working long after motivation disappears. And over time, those habits transform every area of life: their body, their mind, their finances, their relationships, their future. In a world where most people are controlled by impulse, the man who controls himself becomes exceptionally rare. Because real power has never been about controlling others. It has always been about mastering yourself. And once a man reaches that level of discipline, he becomes the kind of person that obstacles no longer stop. They simply become part of the path forward.